Good morning, good afternoon all at the webinar Lateral Movement. Today we are going to talk about lateral movement. What is lateral movement, and is it dangerous, and what can we do about it, and how can we monitor it in our networks? So I prepared a small agenda where I like to introduce the part of lateral movement, because maybe it's not clear what is lateral movement. I like to explain how the monitoring deployment should be installed on your network, so that we don't miss information and that we have less duplicated information. Then there is of course, a lot of protocols which we can use for the good things, but also for the bad things. And we like to point at the weakness of the service message block. We will tell a part about RDP, SSH, remote admin, Windows remote, multicast DNS, and link local multicast name resolution protocol, and that you can poison with it. So let's start. About lateral movement. What is it? Yeah, some people say, okay, it's east-west traffic. So basically it's traffic which stays in your LAN segment. So it could be regular traffic, right? Because your end users need to access your services, your file server, your web server, your mail server. So it's basically, we need to have that traffic in our network. So in that point of view, it makes a little bit difficult to put firewalls in between and protect movement from one device to another. So because we needed to do our regular job, so we need really to have that east-west traffic. By the way, east-west traffic is the traffic which stays in the LAN segment, and north-south traffic is the traffic which will go to the internet. So what is then lateral movement? In this case, we basically it is legal tools we are using for malicious purposes. So basically, yeah, regular people will use it to do their job, but the bad guys do use it to get all kinds of information, or to exfiltrate, or to encrypt files or traffic. So basically, that's it. Before lateral movements can start, at least there needs to be an infected device internally in your network. And of course, for that, it's the north-south traffic. For that, we have firewalls, so we have all kinds of things. But the bad guys are getting smarter and smarter, and they will try all kinds of tools to get inside in your network. So there is all kinds of phishing, or there is for example, social engineering. You can send for phishing, of course, the emails. And what we can do is, of course, we can look at the moment. Of course, we use Google, you know, and with Google, there is a part which is called Google Dorks, where you can run specific queries to see if some devices are public available. And yeah, in the time at the moment where people don't have too much knowledge sometimes of networking, say use the universal plug and plug and play tools to get things activated and remote accessible from the internet. And yeah, sometimes it's going too easy, and firewall rules will be opened automatically, and then at the end passwords are not as strong as they think. And for that reason, if people are using Google Docs, they can find URLs, they can find your universal plug and play device, and if then the passwords are not strong enough, then it's easy to use that internal device as an external available device for hackers. So that's basically sometimes one of the parts which can be used. So basically it's what they do then, that's an internal service. They make it public available in that case, and then it's their task to put there an exploit or commands for SQL injection or other things. So basically that's how it could work. So there it starts, that one of the devices are infected, and then when they are on the local area network, then it starts the lateral movement things and using the tools which are available there. They can use all kinds of systems. So in the presentation they can see, of course, who am I and what is my IP, and yeah, what I said is they can use easily the Google Docs to find out the open links to get inside. And you think maybe that's not going to happen, but it's amazing when you look at some of these links, that it's easy that people just forget to close the door for unwanted persons on the internet. So lateral movement basically is a general term for techniques and tactics which attackers can use, but they use basically legal tools for illegal purposes in that case. One of my colleagues said, okay, maybe it's good that we will explain that SMB pivoting is something, it's not equal to lateral movement. It's just one of the techniques and tactiques which could be used for lateral movement. And that's for that reason the SMB part is also on the agenda for today, so that we can see what risks are there and what we can see in our monitoring system what's going on. How to deploy it, monitoring in your network to identify lateral movement. I think that is one of the most challenging parts. If you look at the network, most of the people said, okay, let's monitor just the part where we have the common traffic. So that means core switches or core routers. You can have their tapping point and feed that in your sensor to monitor the traffic. That's really good. That's really good. That's at least a good start. But for lateral movement, you miss a part, of course, because when you look at the bottom of our graph here, you can see there are access switches with devices connected. And if these devices are communicating between each other, they are not reaching the core switch. So basically, you don't see the movement from east-west on these access switches. And this is only the first layer access switch, but like you can see here, it's an access switch with more access switches below. So if it depends, so how deep do you want to see lateral movement? If you like to see everything, then you need to monitor these parts too. And you can do that, of course, by creating span ports on the access switch and send it with a remote span to a core switch, or with ER span to a core switch. But sometimes access switches are only layer 2 switches, and then ER span is not possible, and remote span sometimes limited. Sometimes the access switches are even not manageable, so it's just a plain switch and doing its job. So yeah, there is the challenge. If you like to monitor lateral movement, keep in mind that you really need to see that that part of the network where you don't want to have illegal lateral, or just where you don't want to have the lateral movement. So the east-west traffic, which is unwanted. If you like to see that, please keep in mind that you have to monitor that part. Let's see. Next one. The most frequent used services the hackers are using for lateral movement is, of course, the service message block, and that's really powerful. It can serve Windows management instrumentum, and it can do that also for the command line version. Yeah, I know that the command line version is not available anymore in Windows 10 and 11, but still the regular version is available there. PowerShell, everybody knows what PowerShell can do, run scripts and launch processes and that kind of things. You can browse disks for files, of course, and find everything there. Spoolss is there, so it's a Spoolss server for printer services. I will come back to that one later because that's also pretty risky tool, because it has access really to everything in Windows. RDP, remote desktop, it's really a tool service guys do like it to help out colleagues who do have problems. They can take over their PC and do the things they want, but also the hackers can do that. Secure Shell, of course, a well-known tool for remote access, command line tool to do all kinds of things. Remote admin, it's more a copy of remote desktop, of course. Windows remote management, it's a built-in system, of course, which is available in Windows to make life easier in a Windows environment, but also make life easier for the hackers in a Windows environment. And then we have the link local multicast name resolution protocol, where we are basically looking for DNS names if it's not available on the device itself in the host file, or it's not in the DNS cache, or if they can't find it on the regular DNS, then the LLMNR protocol will send out a broadcast and ask for this host names and find at the end the IP address which belongs to it. And the risk is, of course, that the wrong ones will respond on that multicast request and say, yeah, I'm the guy you're looking for. And at the end, they will get information which doesn't belong to them, like hash files and that kind of thing. So it's a bit of a risky protocol. So it's good if you can monitor it. It's the same for multicast DNS. The first part, the Windows admin shares on the Windows service, it's available there, so it's just part of how Windows can work. So you will have the shares available, and of course you can share the drives, but there is also a tool, the Windows admin share, where the admin tooling is available, and you can manage Windows server from that for virtual environments and remote environments, even for Azure or local environments. So it should be at least you need to have access to it. But okay, that's the point, that hackers will get access by phishing or anything like that. So when they have the credentials, they have access to it, and then they can do the things they want. It's the same for the IPC part. That's more a zero session connection, where basically anonymous users can run some activities, like they can discover names of domain names and network shares. So that is really helpful if you like to explore as a hacker the local area network. It's a really helpful tool if you have access to that. So it's okay. And it can allow everything, of course, like data copying, deleting files, run procedures, and that kind of things. So it's good to know if people will misuse that part, if there is strange behavior there on that part in the network. What we can do is, of course, we can monitor that, and there are a couple of mechanisms we use to detect this unusual behavior, because you can imagine when an internal device is compromised and is going to explore the network for things that the regular user who is owning that PC is not doing that. So normally he doesn't do it, but at the moment the hacker got control over that PC, is going to do an unusual behavior. So the NBA part in GREYCORTEX will detect that there is abnormal connections to, so you will have connections to multiple peers suddenly, which is in the normal behavior of that endpoint not the case, or there will be more data transferred, so abnormal. So that is also what the NBA tool will do. We have also an universal tagging engine. So I will show that a little bit later, how it works, and it will automatically tag some signatures to that behavior and create an alert for that. And on top, of course, we do the deep packet inspection on the raw data. So when there is a signature, then we will detect it. So let's look at one of the examples. So here we can see that SMB access is there to the Windows administrative share is there. So what we like to know, of course, is what is going on here. Of course, we don't know if it's illegal, but it's detected at the moment. So normally it's not there, but now it's detected. So we can see basically what is going on there. And if you look here, you can see there are a couple of them detected. So it depends on what is the type of the content there. So we should look at it and say, okay, we can see that the Samba protocol is used, and yeah, let's dig into it and find out what's going on. So basically what we can see here is that, yeah, there is Samba protocol is there, but yeah, we can see here that it's going to the Nashua admins part on that PC. But if we go further, then we can drill down a little bit deeper into the flows, and we can see, for example, in the application layer that SMB is used, and you can see the versions which are there. So the protocol is there. You can see that it's really going to the Nashua admins part, and yeah, we like to know what is going on there. And you see that there is a file opened like python.exe, you see. So that is really good, because with Python you can create really some good scripts, but you can also create some scripts who can do the bad things. So it's, so you have to look for it and see, was this a legal attempt, yes or no, and that kind of things. So it's all in the monitoring system. You can imagine that this one was a legal one, right? So then when this is a legal one, then we should say, okay, then it's a kind of a false positive. So what we need to do then is just to select that one, and we can select the protocol, and we can select the destination, of course, because, or the source and the destination, and we can say ignore these events, and then we can create basically a false positive. So we can choose it from IP address, source, destination, MAC address, whatever, or the tag which is there. We can apply it to the past, and then everything is hidden under the default 0 severity. So that means if you tag it as a false positive, it is not gone, but it has the priority 0. So when you discover in 2 weeks, basically this was not a false positive, you can go here again and change it back to the layer 5 or to the priority 5, whatever you want. So that is how we have to handle when it's illegal traffic, because it's important to clean up your monitoring system and to have not too many false positives, because then you don't see the really alerts anymore. What we also do have is the universal tagging engine, which is helping us to detect this kind of misuse of things. So when I look here, for example, for this one, I will open it, the NetBIOS admin access, so that you will have access to that part of a server. How is it detected? So you can see here the rule name, so that's what is seen. We look at events, so we can look at flows or we can look at events. So at the moment we are looking at events, so this is automatically created. Then there is a filter for signature IDs, and you can see that it contains 3 signature IDs. Just what I will do is I will copy just one and show you in a minute what it means. It will ignore the false positives, because when you create a false positive, it will be ignored next time, of course, because otherwise it doesn't make sense when the universal tagging engine will still map these events as an event, while it's already marked as a false positive. And then it appears for the first time in 30 days. So that means, yeah, that when it doesn't happen, but now in 30 days, this is the first time it happens, then it will create a report event on the signaling ID. I copied one of these signature IDs, and just to show you what is inside, it gives you an ID at least. What is there? So you can see NetBIOS Samba admin share access. So basically there is it's not hidden. So basically this is the rule set which is there. The rule sets are available in the system, depending on the type of license you will have. But by default, there is the ET default DSET rule set, sorry. And what you also can do is, of course, you can create your own ones. And if you create your own ones, then you can, if you are familiar to create these kind of rules, you can do the raw syntax, and otherwise there is a wizard to help you out. So hopefully this explains a little bit what the universal tagging engine is doing, and help you to detect this kind of vulnerabilities in the network. The next one, what we have here, is the WMI, or the WMI command line instrumental thing in Windows management. The command line thing, I already told you, it's gone since Windows 10 and 11, but the regular one is still there, and it's basically the standard for to access individual components in Microsoft Windows. So that means that you can do a lot of things when you have access to this tool. And again, of course, you need to have access there, so it's not without credential available, but at the end, when they are in and they can scan the network, they will get the credentials, and then at the end, or steal hashes, and will get access to this part of the network. And then there is a risk that they can execute some unwanted commands or scripts or applications in the network, right? And the task for us is to detect it again. So how to do it again? So yeah, we use all three mechanisms we have there again. The IDS, the deep packet inspection part, the universal tagging engine, and the NBA part. And let's go to an example in our system. We see here DCE RPC, that stands for Distributed Computing Environment Remote Procedure Calls, and it is a WMI Remote Process Execution. So that's good to know that it's there. So let's find out what is going on. We see the IP addresses. We see that the protocol is used here, the distributed computing environment, remote procedure calls. When we are going to look a little bit deeper, we can figure out that things are here, but it's not really clear for us what is inside. So what we can do is we can go a little bit deeper and look into the flows. So we can double click on the link, or we can go to flows here. So it's basically the same part what we can do there. And we can see that this kind of protocol is used. Further, we can't see very much because it's the signal is encrypted, so we can't see it. But what we can see is at least the number of packets which is sent, and the destination packets, and we can see the flags here which is going on, and here we can also see the duration. So it's 48 milliseconds. So that can give some information about what is going on. So yeah, we are an offline tool, so we are connected to span ports, tapping devices, packet brokers, so we are not inline. So we are not part of the communication process, so we are not able to decrypt. But of course, unless it's encrypted, we can see a lot of things there. Spoolss. Yeah, everybody knows probably what it is, because everybody has most of the time a printer in the network, and sometimes it's not working, and then Spoolss could be one of the problems, and you will replace it or reinstall it or whatever you can do. It's a powerful tool because it has access to a lot of parts in Windows to create things, to do things. The bad thing is, of course, when you delete the program and you like to reinstall it, and you search on the internet, and yeah, you will download it from the first opportunity on the internet. The chance is big that you will have a modified one where the wrong parts will take care of hacking your network. So be careful to use the legal ones and not the ones with additional features inside, because even when it's a legal one, there are a lot of opportunities to do the remote execution of files and that kind of things. Maybe something good to know. For example, everybody knows that in 2010 in Iran, a nuclear plant was hacked, and by the Stuxnet worm, you know, that was discovered in 2010, but it was probably running for a longer time there. And after analytics, people found out that it started with a Microsoft device where there was a problem with the printing, and the Spoolss was replaced, and there it started. So you can see what the impact was at the end, just replacing the Microsoft printer spooler and by an illegal one, and at the end the worm was infecting it, and the nuclear part in Iran was infected. So good to know, maybe that as an example how risky it is, of course. Let's see. Yeah, we don't have an example here, but if we like to detect that, we will do that based on the packet inspection, of course. I was looking for an example, and but I thought, okay, maybe not good to install it, and I don't have the lab environment at the moment here that I could do it, because maybe next time we can show you how it looks like and what will happen. At least the deep packet inspection will take care for detecting this kind of vulnerabilities. Then we look at the PowerShell. Yeah, it's really a nice tool, you know. Sometimes management asks you to turn it off because it's part of Windows, of course, and it's PowerShell. So the name already explains what it is. It's really powerful, and you can do a lot of things from it, and it's really good that it's activated. But if it's in the hand of the wrong people, it can do a lot of nasty things. And what we can see is basically that most of the attacks are PowerShell attacks, so even more than 76% of the attacks are PowerShell attacks, what we see from Windows systems at least. So yeah, we like to see what we can monitor there, or what is going on if it's in the wrong hands, right? What we use to detect it is also the IDS part for PowerShell, and let's see what we can see in the system if it's detected. So what you can see here is at least that the PowerShell user agent is used in this case, and yeah, we need to see what this kind of user agent is doing. So if we look at the second alert, which is there in the same time, you can see that suspicious PowerShell file inbound executing execution policies is bypassed. So let's see what is really going on here. So you can see the IP addresses and of course the port which is used. So basically what we see is that the URL is going to a file dot bat. So basically it's a batch file, it's an executable file, and yeah, what is going on here really? So if we look here, yeah, it's a little bit, it looks like a little bit a mess, but you can look at in CyberChef, and then it will turn out that it's better readable for you. So you can see what exactly is going on. So the plain text. So you can see set source, destination, copy. You can see everything which is in the batch file basically. So that's the first thing to start. So now you're a little bit curious what is really going on, and then yeah, you can see in the slowing down somehow. So we can see that the URL was filed on that. You can see the file sizes which are there, and the information which is available for so far as we can see it in GREYCORTEX. What we did monitor there, you can see the microservice web development user agent is used there. So that kind of information we can see from the PowerShell environment. And then the question is, was this illegal or legal? And then you need to change it as a false positive or not. Let's go to the next one. PsExec. Yeah, it's a lightweight kind of telnet replacement for Windows. So you can run it as a CLI program for remote administration, basically. So it's still there. So you can run these commands, scripts, applications. It's basically the same like you can do with the telnet or with PowerShell. It's basically the same, and it's part of the Microsoft Service Control Manager. So it's inside. So it's inside of Windows. So everybody can use it. So you don't have to install that specific part of things. If we are going to check what we can see with it, for example, when it's detected in the network, we use the same detection mechanisms like the intrusion detection, universal tagging engine, and the NBA, of course, because only the combination of these ones can lower the number of false positives. So that means when it's abnormal behavior because your endpoint is infected and starting this kind of communication, then it's abnormal. So then it will be detected by the NBA. So that for that reason, that part is there, that you can detect it and mark it as a really alert and not as a false positive. When we look at the system, and we can see that a PsExec service is created. Yeah, we can see again that the Samba protocol is used, the 445 port number, and we can see the IP addresses where between we can the communication was established. We can go and see what is really inside of that communication. You can see here that Nasha IPC there is reached and what is done there. So that's basically we can drill down a little bit and see what is going on the system itself, and then you can see the version of the protocol which is used, the commands which are used. You can see it was in Nashua IPC. So there it is, but at the end you can see that there was a command created PsExec .exe, so it was launched. So it's good to know that it's there and that you detected it. So now to find out, was it legal or illegal, of course. So that's a bit what we can see about PsExec. When we look at remote desktop, then yeah, we all know the system, of course, because a lot of people will use it. I have a problem with my PC. Okay, can you share your desktop? Okay, and then the service guy can log in and help you out. And most of the time, remote desktop stays enabled, so you only need the credentials to log in again and do the things you want to do. And basically, you can do everything from remote with remote desktop. Basically the same for remote admin and SSH actives. So the only thing we need to do is to see what is going on and what is the effect there. So let's see. We use again all three features again to detect it and see what is going on. What we see here in the alerting is that there is a remote desktop connection set up by an administrator account. That's always risky, you know, that when people log in with an admin account, then they have the access is basically unlimited and they can do the things they want. So we need to have proof for that, of course, and you can see here MSD has showed that basically the administrator access was there. So that's good to know. You can see the flags, you can see that the RDP port is used. Of course, this is kind of this is encrypted traffic, so we can't see actually what is going on. But what we could do is see the time at least, which was there for the communication. Sorry, I did by accident. I did close it, so you can see at least it is RDP session which is there. You can see the duration. It was 98 seconds, and the country is the European country, but it's from Russia, so sometimes that's also risky. If you like to get some more information, you can click on it and see the IP address. You can go to the who is address, and if you say, yeah, but I like to know, is this really a vulnerable address, you can always click on one of the services here below. So if you click on virus total, it will say here, yeah, 20 of the 90 security vendors flagged this IP as malicious. So is it malicious? Yes or no? Yeah, it's always. Sometimes it's used for a period of time as a malicious one, sometimes not. Okay. So there was an RDP session for quite a while from to the destination Citadel. Here you can see that. Maybe it's good that we can say, okay, if we know that, we like to know if Citadel was approached by RDP, is it connecting to other devices? So what we can do here is, of course, we can add it to the filter and say in network peers. So the connection is there. And you can see that the Citadel was approached by the IP address from Russia. Okay, that's okay. But now we put it as a destination address, right? So when I remove the destination and I look again what is going on, then you can see that the Russian address was approaching the Citadel, and then the Citadel was going to this desktop. And this is basically, this is from the outside to the inside. And here you have your lateral part, of course. So it's good to have that kind of overview in your system, and that you can create this kind of relations. And you can see at the end, this one was approached, and then what did it afterwards. And if you like to see other protocols, it's just easy. You remove the protocols and see what is going on, or you can use this IP address to see what is going next. So it's really helpful to discover movements in your network there. Remote desktop protocol, really helpful, but also dangerous. Let's go to the next one. It's Windows Remote Management, and basically it's the same again. It's a web-based application where you can have full access to the system, and where you can upload and download files and see if there are exploits. So what we can do here is, for example, we can use, for example, SMB pivoting, and that means that we use SMB as a kind of a proxy to go into the network, and we can look for user information and that kind of things, and we can put some ransomware there. We can also use L2R, left to right, to modify startup scripts or planners, that kind of things. We are able to get some password hashes, like the Kerberos hash. You know, it can deliver you the golden ticket, where you just don't need credentials anymore. You use that hash to get inside and exchange the information you need and run the commands you need. We are using, again, all three feature sets again: IDS, universal tagging, and NBA. Let's see how it looks like. So you can see that there is web service management is launched here, and it could be a possible lateral movement, you know. So that's what we can do. Let's see what we see inside here for that information. What we can see is the information status packet bytes. So this is not, we can see that Carol's encrypted stuff is there, and we can see all the flags are there. And when we look at the flows, we are looking at the packets which are sent and the size of the package which are sent there. And when we look at the information here, we can see there is the web service management is running a certain version, and the host is Nashua, and it is using a post message. So that means it's transferring data. So if we look at the file sizes, then you can see the data which is transferred there. So that gives you an idea what is going on. Of course, we can't see the content, but we see actually what is transferred there. Okay. Next, almost the last one. It's local link multicast name resolution. In the beginning, I told you a part that if DNS names are not in the localhost file available, and they are not in the DNS cache, and they are not in DNS available, then this protocol could be used to resolve domain names, right? And the risk with this using this protocol is that the wrong people can respond and say, okay, I'm the guy you're looking for. And then the one who is requesting that domain name will think that the responder is his actual target, but it's not. It's the fake one, and then he will tell him his hash file or credentials, whatever, and then yeah, it's available for the next phase in hacking. So it's a risky protocol, so you need to really be sure that this protocol is allowed in your network. Same for multicast DNS. That's running on these two ports, 5355 or 5353. It's running on UDP. So let's see what we can see about it. If you look at the system itself, it will show you, for example, the protocol which is observed there. That you can see it's in use, multiple query. You can see that there is a multicast name. It's multicasted, so that means the request is first, right? So the other one is the response. So we need to look at the request first. So the request is sent to a multicast address on that port 5355, of course. And when we look a little bit deeper, then you can see that that is the desktop IP address, of course. But if we look a little bit further, we can see that there is a request in the application layer, and it's sending the name for that DNS name. So it's asking for, yeah, who has that IP address, of course, and then somebody should respond and say, okay, that one has that domain name, of course. That answer is in the response, and we see the response only in this time. The response is a legal one, so it sent it actually to the right. Sorry, here. you can see that the response is sent to the right IP address. It's coming from that IP address, so it's correct. When there is a man in the middle, then he could say, no, I use my IP address, and say, this is the IP address you need to have. So, and that's the risk for this kind of protocol. You can spoof things, or you can run a man in the middle here and respond to that request. So it's, be careful if you use the protocol there. In bigger networks, most of the time it's not used, because with all the multicast, you should disable the multicast for that at least. But okay, just to let you know that there is a risk with this type of protocol using. Almost at the end of the presentation, lateral movement. So we showed you something. What is there? It's meant to have internal communication and access to data and everything, but you need to know if it's allowed, yes or no. And especially when lateral movement is there, but there is also outbound communication to get some strange libraries like the Spoolss dynamic link library, for example, or that kind of things. Download the wrong files, executables or DLLs with vulnerabilities inside. Be careful for that. Most of the time that's covered by the firewall or the outgoing communication to the internet. But when it stays internal and you will have the lateral movement there, then it's good to know that it's there, so you can take some actions. One thing, if you look at everything in the network, you will see, of course, I told you we need to eliminate the false positives. If you see extreme numbers of hosts used and the extreme number of events, then it's more obvious that it's a vulnerability you have in your network. When it's only one or something, then you can investigate it, but most of the time it's normal behavior. So this will help you also to detect if it's normal behavior or it's a kind of an attacker which likes to get the most out of it in a small period of time. At the end, yeah, we need to separate the wheat from the chaff. So that means we like to see the really attacks there. So that means that we have to get rid of all the false positives, because otherwise we no longer see the forest for the trees. So that's important. And the system will also automatically learn identification of all the changes. So that means that the system will get smarter and smarter. So it will get easier to get only the real attackers in the network. We are almost there. So there is, I don't know if there was some questions and in the chat. Andre, are you there still? Were there questions or not?
Yeah, I'm here, but no questions till now. So if there will be any question in the future, don't hesitate to ask. Send us question in the after the webinar. No problem to answer it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Just send an email to us and we can answer the questions. Thanks for listening, and see you next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.